Ohio high school football. It's a juggernaut each and every week. I'm going to take you on an inside look at the high school coaching world. In the world of high school coaching, there is far more than what people see after 7 p.m. on a Friday night. This is the coach's approach.
Welcome to The Coach's Approach, a podcast where we sit down with high school coaches and get the cold, hard facts about the high school coaching world. This is the
That's better, maybe.
where we talk X's and O's. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is The Coach's Approach, where we talk the X's and O's. Win the day or dominate the day. The choice is yours.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach's Approach podcast. I'm your host, George Gresco. Today is our season 1 finale, and I will be sitting down with legendary head football coach at Saint Ignatius High School, Coach Chuck Kyle. Coach, welcome to the show.
Oh, George, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, before we get started, I need to shout out my amazing sponsors for season 1. Coach's Dry Rub, the All-American Rub, laid on thick until it sticks. Anthony's Family Restaurant in Eastlake on the corner of 91 and Vine Street, where together is our favorite place to be, open for dine-in, carry-out, and curbside pickup. The Well Bar and Grill in Kirtland, come in for a great time and some great food. Last but not least, G&G Printing. Get your custom apparel printed in 7 to 10 days or less. Dominate your design. First and foremost, Coach, I want to thank you for your time, and kind of want to say this is an honor for me. You're a coach that I kind of looked up to throughout my coaching career and playing career, so I really thank you for your time.
Oh, sure, George. It's talking football is behind talking to people that see the value of the sport, see the value of young people, learning what a team sport is. That's essential. So this will be a fun time.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of good questions that I'm going to ask. Coach, you've been coaching football at St. Ignatius for 51 years, 11 years as an assistant, and now you're going into your 40th season as a head football coach. You've also been the head track coach there for 49 seasons. When you first started out in coaching, did you ever think that you would still be coaching and getting after it for this long?
Well, George, I wasn't thinking about years or anything like that.
Sure.
There's too many factors that go into that. Okay. And, I just, I was a young guy that, I came back to the school I went to. My 3 older brothers went to Ignatius also. So it was kind of ingrained into the family thing.
Sure.
And I was as I look at myself, I was always a person that had high energy level. I mean, I always had to do things. There's certain people just got to do things. I get nervous if I don't. Right? So I knew partway through college, should I be a lawyer? Nah, I want to be a teacher and a coach. I'll just do that. Now, to just be honest with you, to say, was I planning on being a head coach or something? I was just going to coach.
Sure.
Okay. I was just a young guy who, could work with the backs, defense back then. Right. You coach defensive backs, offensive back. That's what you did,
Yeah.
And it was fun, and I had a girlfriend who became my wife who understood the whole thing. And, that was great. It's been essential to what I've done. But to say I was going, well, this is my career and I am going to move up, the ladder of doing something. No, I did not have that at all. I just, I'm going to teach English. I enjoyed English, and some professor should have told me, though, with English, you got to correct a lot of papers. My thumb is killing me. After all these years of checking papers,
right?
But I enjoyed both, right? And so I wanted to do that, and working with the kids, I like that, and just sharing,
Sure.
sharing ideas. So things happen, and after I was an assistant for 11 years, and the head coaching job opened up, you sort of realize, well, maybe it is my time to step up.
Sure.
Okay. You could be the assistant for a long time, but you look around and go, well, come on, the sport needs the passing of the torch, keep
Sure.
moving.
Yeah.
So fine, I did it. And, but I felt I wanted to keep doing track too.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was a good combination.
Yeah.
So I had to be somebody with a lot of energy because it's a long day,
I was
long
gonna say,
year.
to do it as long as you have to have a ton of energy. You got to be a little fireball over there.
Well, I'm not 30 years old anymore. Okay, but I'm very active still, and I'm, thank the Lord up there. I'm healthy. It's just, and really, come on, it keeps me young, right?
Yeah,
It does.
no, it's good.
Just doing all that.
Sure. You were hired as the head football coach at Saint Ignatius in 1983. You've now been a head coach in 5 different decades. What would you say has changed the most in high school sports from 1983 to 2022?
Okay, that's a very good question, and it's I think a complex question
Sure.
in several levels. I think physically, it has become more of a speed game,
Sure.
both offensively and defensively. So back in 1983, when you had that big, burly, strong middle linebacker, that between the tackles was just there, he was dominating.
Right.
He now has his hand down on the ground playing defensive end or something and rushing.
Right. Yeah.
The linebackers are much faster, and they don't have to be, giants,
Sure.
because you got to move, you got to run. And I think the speed factor in the game now is much more than it was in 1983. I mean, come on, the wing T still is a good offense, but boy, there was a lot of, that lockdown, kick out, pound away, Woody Hayes,
Yeah.
God bless him, that was still, this is Ohio, man. You got to bound like that, right? And the game is a lot of spread people out, the spread offense, right? It sort of, there's a lot of speed, there's a lot of one-on-one, there's the quarterback is such a great athlete. Now he's not that big, strong kid that stood back there and just threw the ball around. Now he's running all over the field, right?
Absolutely.
And the defenses respond to that, so there's a lot of skills. So I think that's really the game a lot. Now in sports, I'm going to take it another level. I think parents back then said, yeah, come on, go play. I mean, they weren't looking for some sort of, well, what's going to happen to my kid for college? And, he's going to be a pro football player. He's age 2 right now. He's going to be a pro football player. I mean, that, the dads, worked in the steel mill and said, yeah, you go to football practice and don't screw around. You just play, and if by chance, you were big enough, fast, and you got a college scholarship, that was unbelievable to be able to say that to your parents, right? Well, you're starting to see, you can go into all of what's happening in the NCAA right now, but it seems like the scholarship is being not that important as opposed to other things,
Sure.
Let's go to the porthole and go this way and go that way and set up my career. And
right.
So it's really changed quite a bit that
Absolutely.
way. Now, the love of football, I think, is still there. I think it's by far the best, the most popular spectator sport there is. No one can debate that.
No, I agree. I agree with that one. Absolutely, Coach.
Yeah. Trying to get younger kids to play and parents to realize the game has changed the way, technique is being done, and coaching has to be done more effectively than it used to be. Blame the old guys, first day of hitting, man, we had to have Oklahoma drill and knock everybody around. Come on, let's be a little wiser now.
Yeah, sure. Coach, you have won a state championship as both a head football coach and a head track coach. You have 11 state titles in football, 2 state titles in track. Looking back now, how special is that to you? Because I'm not sure if that's ever been done by a single coach before. Is that pretty special?
I think it is, George. You know, I can't quote and say I've ever researched that idea.
Sure.
I don't think that ever happened in Ohio before. So I don't know if it's happened elsewhere. I enjoy both sports, and I like researching both sports. And I always felt the best combination for football for another sport would be track and field. I just always felt that. And I don't want to get into debate with others, but I know honestly, you see all this need for speed, the need for balance. You get the big offensive linemen or defensive linemen, they're throwing the shot and the discus, and they can also work out with the sprint team and get a little faster and so on. Honestly, it has been a factor in our success? Unquestionably, that combination there. I mean, I could go right down the line with athletes that, the middle linebacker for Ohio State right now, Tommy Eichenberg, finished second in the state in the shot put, okay, through 60 feet.
Good.
All right. I mean, I could go down the line. Anthony Gonzalez, our congressman, right?
Yeah.
Played for Ohio State, right? He was on a state championship track team.
I was gonna say he was a pretty good one.
Oh, he was fast. I mean, I mean, so that combination, really, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. And oftentimes I would tell kids, well, if you play college football and your season ends, great, you can maybe go home for Christmas. But when you get back to that college campus in January, guess what you're doing, fellas?
Right.
It's like running track.
Yeah.
You're going to be lifting and you're going to be running. And it's going to be 6 a.m. That's when they do it. Okay. So why don't we get used to it now? Okay. Come on out for track. So It was a great combination, and they were very good athletes. But if you look at our track championships, the distance guys we had some very good distance guys. And Ryan Franzinger, who went to Ohio State, he's going to be the next head coach at Ignatius. Okay, he won the discus, the state championship of that one of those years. But yeah, he was also an all-state football player. Okay, so it really helps. That was important.
And that kind of leads me to my next question. We talked about it a little already. How important do you think it is for a high school athlete to experience more than one sport? And I ask this because there's a lot of specialization going on right now.
Right. George, I am thoroughly convinced, and doctors will support this, multiple sports in high school. That's the route to go. A few years ago in the NFL, the first, and I think this is 4 years ago, and you can research it the last few years, but I think it was 4 years ago, I researched it. Out of in the first round of the NFL draft, okay? First round, there was 30 out of the 31, 32, whatever it is now, played multiple sports in high school.
All right. And I believe I think I saw that stat somewhere too. So I think especially just the kids competing year round and making sure your grades are up to par. You're not having like that slack down time. I think that's super important.
All right. And doctors will tell you, when you specialize in just one sport and you're just doing that sport constantly, you are working certain muscles, probably overworking certain ones, and not using some, and that imbalance is not good.
Sure.
It is not good. And you see that in multiple sports where, the arm blows out, right?
Yeah.
The legs have a problem, and you're going, well, multiple sports give you a chance to balance that out. And you hit on it right away, George. Mentally, for a high school kid, I mean, if just to concentrate on one sport, you burn out.
Yeah, I agree.
You're going to burn out. And that's what happens so often. Kids burn out. They just can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And by having that social, different people you're working with and getting to know different people. That's high school. That's
Yeah.
what you should have,
And we hit on it once already, especially in today's world. There's so many pressures put on kids with their parents. Get scholarship. It's not just go play anymore, and it's not just go enjoy the game. So I think that's super important. Just play sports, be with your friend, enjoy high school, as you mentioned.
Right. I wish we could, maybe someday you could have a program on this. So many people think that, well, it has to be a Division I scholarship for my kid to go to college. They're so mistaken by that. Even the small Division III colleges, they don't have athletic scholarships, but take a look. There's not as many kids out there now. There's no more 8, 9 kid families, right? There's 2, 3 in a family. Small colleges, they have to fill their seats in their college, their freshman class, and the financial aid packages for the smaller college. You're an athlete, and you're making you can contribute to the school some way. Those financial packages get pretty good. I mean, it's their job to make it possible. And it's sad that so many people think, well, he's got to get a full ride, and they're mistaken. They are. There's so much available at even the smaller colleges. Okay.
Agreed. And at one point in the NFL, I always bring up Bill Belichick. He recruited like lacrosse players, Division III athletes, because at that time no one was looking at these players. But now I think it's more common that more Division III, Division II athletes are getting looks, which I think is awesome.
It really is, and players from Mount Union right down the road.
Yeah.
Get into the pros. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's others. John Carroll had some guy, linebacker, right? You can remember that. That happens. That happens, and it's going to happen more and more, to be honest with you.
You're talking about London Fletcher. That's who you're talking about at John Carroll. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm picturing his face, and I'm going, but yeah, I mean, that happens, and because kids grow later, things like that. You could have a whole nother show on how the NCAA is going to be changing with the porthole thing and all that, which is, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, that's a whole different side of football.
Right. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But kids, I can, Brian Hoyer, quarterback, is playing in the pro. He's still in the pros. He's gone 11 years in the pros. When he came to Saint Ignatius, he was going to play quarterback. But I'll tell you what, I think his favorite sport was baseball.
Right.
As a freshman, he was a pitcher on the varsity. I mean, but years go by, and he started seeing, where am I going to go further?
Right.
And it started dawning. And he played baseball all 4 years, but it dawned on him, I'm going to be going pretty much further in football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So when they specialize, they may have shut the door on the sport that they really should by the time they were seniors. How many times? Hundreds of times, George. I've had kids come up who did that, who specialized, right? And they go, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I should have been playing both. Hundreds of times.
Agreed.
That's a shame.
Yep. I agree with you on that. In 1988, you bring St. Ignatius High School their first ever state title in football. Can you talk a little bit about how special of a moment that was for you, the school, the community? Anything you'd like to share on that?
Sure. Well, we had never made the playoffs before that year.
Right.
Okay. That was my, I think, 5th year.
Yeah, right around your 4th or 5th year, I believe.
Fifth year of being head coach, and I think the culture of the football program kept getting better and better. Sure. Kids realized nothing's given to you. You got to earn it. You got to work.
Yep.
And, you could go around the state, George, to any, typical program that's going to be a factor, and, go in January and February and take a peek in their weight room, and you'll see a lot of kids working out. Okay. Right. Well, those teams are going to do well. Okay. But you had to create that culture. Okay.
So Coach, you're saying the weight room is super important.
It is. There's no doubt about it. And doing it right. Okay. You really need someone in there that has studied it thoroughly,
Yeah.
because so many people get all hung up on how many pounds I can
Right.
lift, and actually that's not as important as how you do it,
Right.
and how that movement while you're doing is going to transfer into a football
Right.
type of technique. That's the key thing. But when going back to the first year, I mean, the culture was getting better, and Georgia, you could look at what was going on. The CYO programs in
Yeah.
Cleveland, Ohio, were one of the best in the nation. It honestly, they were. And if you look at the roster, that we were getting, obviously a lot of the Catholic grade school kids were coming to our school, right? I mean,
Right.
and I mean, you could look at that roster, and there was St. Thomas More, there was St. Anne's, there was Jesu, there was Our Lady of Angel, I mean, and they played CYO football, and here they come to Ignatius, and they had a really good experience in grade school, good guys coaching them. And yeah, I mean, that helped. Okay. Sure. But it was the idea that we made it to the playoffs. Oh boy. But I think, to be honest, I remember this the year before that, we were good, but we lost some games and we didn't make it in the play. But and I always met with every kid on the varsity. It's the offseason. Let's meet and talk about what you can do. And I can remember this, and this is a true story. I can remember the juniors who were going to be seniors, and they walked in and they looked at me and said, "Coach, we're going to win the state championship next year." Okay,
Yeah. Right.
I'm not going to argue with you, kid. Sounds
Right.
good to me. But they were just, we can do this, But you still had to do it on the field,
Right.
And I think any program to win that first one is such a moment, right?
Yeah.
And we won it on a goal line stand, and it was all, the place went crazy and all that. But once you do it once, it becomes a reality. You can do this. See, this can happen. And then okay. And the younger kids go, I want to do that too. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened. I mean, we were just, I look back, we were young guys, believe it or not, I was pretty young then. And, we were just, the school has changed so immensely because the alumni really got involved with the school. And, the alumni, are very generous to the school. It's almost like a small college, the way they donate.
Yeah. Sure.
That happens. I mean, that's wonderful that contributed to that situation.
Absolutely. And the group that you just mentioned about that said was going to win a state championship, as they came in your office one day, that kind of led to something amazing from Saint Ignatius. From 1991 to 1995, the Saint Ignatius football program did something really unheard of. At that time, you guys won 5 consecutive state championships. Can you talk a little bit how that was possible? And you mentioned culture already, but that's incredible.
Right. Well, the 88, 89 group, they blazed the trail, to use a metaphor. I mean, they did. And when that happened, that was the first time a Division I school won in Cleveland area. Right.
Right.
So that was the news media. I mean, it was big, So like I said, and then we became a really popular school for the CYO kids. Again, I could name those parishes again, but man, it was just that they were coming to Ignatius. They were going. This is what happens. And name is Scott Mutrin and Eric Haddad, and those were the guys that you're talking about when you say that period of time when there were 5 straight. That there was a group, when I say Haddad, Mutrin, Eric Goldston. I mean, they were. That was a really good group, and they came in and they believed what could happen. But it was always the goal, and you could always sit there and go, "Hey, fellas, after you win the first one, everybody knows who we are now, so you can't screw around." I mean, we got to know that they're going to give you your best game. They're going to go after you. And kids bought into that and worked hard. But honestly, Georgia, there's other programs and lately they've been doing things like that, Kirtland and so on, and you develop that culture.
Yeah.
But the ball bounces strange ways, and who knows? Who knows?
Right.
I mean, in 1991, I don't think people looked at our roster saying, "Oh, wow," and we lost 2 games in regular season, and we got in and we found a way to beat Massillon. Massillon was undefeated. They were amazing. And they were
you guys played some really good teams those couple years.
Yeah, and 91 we were down at halftime, 21-9.
Right.
And we won. I mean, it just kids kept believing, and you just find a way to score. And the kids believed, kids have to believe.
Sure.
You sit there at halftime, you can sit there, hey fellas, we can do this. Now this is what they're doing, and we can do this.
Right.
But they could be sitting there going, yeah, right. Or they can go, we believe you. Let's go.
Right. Absolutely.
And that was important.
Getting into a little bit of your high school and college years, Saint Ignatius has always been a huge part of your life and always will be. You graduated from high school at Saint Ignatius in 1969. Did you always kind of have a mindset that you were going to become a head coach there?
We already said head. I don't know to say head coach now.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. And to say when I was graduating from high school, was I thinking I was become a teacher coach? I can't necessarily say that was for sure.
Right.
I think when I was matriculating to college, I wanted to be. I thought I really like English. I want to be an English major. I think because you could go into law.
Right.
I thought go into law, could go into teaching, things like that. I that's what I was. It didn't take me long to realize there's a lot of lawyers out there. I think half my senior class became lawyers. And I was like, well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if that would be that enjoyable. But I did enjoy English, and I had some nice opportunities, when to volunteer, to teach younger kids things, and I found myself enjoying that.
Right.
I did. By the time I was at the end of my sophomore year, and I did this in the summer between my sophomore and junior year, a friend of mine from Ignatius talked to me. Goes, he was working out at Camp Cheerful in Strongsville. Okay. I don't know. That's for crippled children.
Okay.
And he talked about just how rewarding that was and so on like that. And, back then you could get a summer job at the steel mills sweeping floors and stuff like that. And, okay, that was great and wonderful. But, there was something more, and so he took me with him, and we talked to the guy in charge of Camp Cheerful, and I was hired to work in recreation for the little crippled kids, finding things for them to do and stuff like that. That experience, George, it affected my life immensely because you saw kids that had really difficult handicaps, but the human spirit, they had this. Yeah. They wanted to have fun, and they believed, and they were dealt a tough situation. Right. But the human spirit was powerful, and that affected me.
And I actually had a coach on here a few weeks ago. His name's Curt Hines. He coaches down in California. I'm not sure if you heard of that name, but he actually said that's how he got into coaching as well. When he was in college, he worked with a Special Olympics flag football team and was coaching flag football. And he said the joy on the kid's face when they just caught a football, right. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. You already had an experience listening to someone say that. It makes you realize how wonderful the human spirit is, and in just difficult situations, and I learned from that so much. I really did. It just and that ability to work with younger people and seeing how they appreciated it,
Right.
That was it. I was going to be a teacher. Here I am.
Yeah.
I was going to do it.
That's awesome. When you were a junior and senior in high school, you played running back for the Wildcats. During those 2 seasons as a running back there, your team's record was 18-1-1. Not only have you had an outstanding coaching career, you had a pretty dang good playing career while at Ignatius. Can you talk a little bit about your playing experience for the Wildcats?
Sure. Junior year, I was the backup running back. I played some defensive back too. Okay. The guy ahead of me went on to be the defensive. Bo Schembechler was one of Bo Schembechler's first captains at Michigan.
Wow.
He was a kid. The guy was really good. You know?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one to sit behind.
I know. He was good. I was cheerleading really well while he was out there. He was really darn good. But anyway, so senior, I was going to end up being the tailback, and I'm not the biggest guy in the world. Thank God I had some speed, and thank God I realized if that guy's going to hit me, I hope he hits me the way I want him to hit me. So you dodge and do something like that. But it was always a dream. I had 3 older brothers. It's one through there, and I really, I had a good senior year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was all league. I was fortunate. Back then, the running back, you didn't throw the ball a whole lot, right? So the running back was going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Right? There were several games I had 30-some carries. I was like, here we go. No secret who has the ball this time. So I had I think 15 touchdowns or something like that. Yeah, but that was the way it was back then.
Right.
The running back was going to score a lot of touchdowns.
So you used to have 50, 60 carries throughout a game, but now there's 60 passes thrown sometimes.
Right. That's not, I mean, I look back and God bless, John Wirtz was the coach, great man. I think we had one pattern, maybe 2,
Yeah.
We would roll out and there would be a flood and we'd throw it, or there'd be this little, maybe the back flared, and then honestly, there wasn't much.
Yeah, hopefully someone was wide open in the flat,
But then pound the ball, baby. Here we go.
No, that's funny.
Woody Hayes, man, that was the way it worked.
Yep.
Everybody believed in that cloud of dust, but in Cleveland, Ohio, it was a cloud of mud a lot.
It's a lot different. Exactly. The fields even then till now. I mean, everyone's almost on turf now, which is.
Oh yeah, at speed now. I mean, take advantage of that.
Too funny.
But it was fun, and I did it for fun. It was just great camaraderie.
Sure.
You talk about those seniors. Our senior class. We get together communicate together all the time. I mean, there's just that bonding.
Yeah, the bonding relationships.
It's just really good.
Yeah.
Really, those are your friends the rest of your life.
Right. After high school, you continued your athletic career at Xavier University in Cincinnati. Something unexpected happened when you were there. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Right. And I'm not the biggest guy. Again, and it was, so I did want to play in college, and there is one thing I think nowadays if you really want, you get much better college counseling than back then. I mean, I went to a Jesuit high school, so when there was one college counselor, and you walk in, and he'd put out in front of you the Jesuit colleges and go, "There's the brochures. Where are you going?" It was like, okay, you're telling me to go to Jesuit college? I don't know. That was their job, I guess. But Xavier at that time, was playing major college football, and they talked to me a little bit, and I thought, good school. Maybe I'll go to it. But it was when I got there, you started to realize, they were phasing it out. If you look back in history, so it's pretty obvious. Okay, I'm the little guy. I'm not that big, and okay, this is probably not going to work out. I went to school, and school was going fine, but I did realize I still had the itch to be playing and doing things in football. So I came back to John Carroll. It was pretty clear I was going to do that.
And that almost makes sense. Another Jesuit school, you wind back up at JCU.
Right. Transferring pretty easily because, it's Jesuit school in Cleveland, Jesuit school in Cincinnati. Come on, they
Right.
can figure out what to do there. And it was a good experience, very good experience at John Carroll. Tony DiCarlo, legendary football coach, wrestling coach, what a wonderful man, and Jerry Schreiker, good people. I just, it was fun. I mean, again, great people. I'd worked with Nick Restifo, coach with me for 40 years. I don't know what it is, Yeah, I met him at John Carroll University. Tom Norducci is coaching with me right now. On the team at John Carroll University with me. Just good people. We had a good time. I think I learned a lot about defense more than anything. Because at that point, we were running the wishbone offense at John Carroll. And it was like, okay, they're right. I get it. Not that complex. But defensively, I think I learned a lot from that program. And that helped when I moved to high school. I think that really did help.
Absolutely. Coach, you've had many awards and achievements over your amazing coaching career. And I'm going to name a few off real quick. You were a 4-time Ohio Associated Press Coach of the Year. In 2008, you were the head coach of the United States first junior national team that went undefeated. In 2010, you earned a Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2013, you were inducted into the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame. You were inducted with Coach Ted Ginn, Mike Hargrove, and Earl Boykins, which that's an achievement in itself. Then in 2016, you were inducted in the National Federation of High School Associations Hall of Fame. My question is to you, and this is probably the most difficult question. Coach, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd be sitting here today as one of the best coaches to ever do it?
No, I didn't know that. No, I when things start happening like that, you're humbled. But George, I'm a guy that goes and teaches his classes, and then I put a whistle on and I go coach and do the best I can. Sure. Honestly, I'm not that complex of a guy. I really am not. And I enjoy doing that. And some good things happened. And how nice. I think that was humbling and very nice. And I hope that, in achieving those awards and receiving those awards, you hope, honestly, I hope I'm a good example for younger coaches coming up. How's that? I do. Come on. There's got to be somebody to go, hey, look at that. Maybe young guy, you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than that, I'm going to get up in the morning and teach English, okay? And that's what it is, okay? Let's
get up in the morning about this thing. Right, get up in the morning, tie your shoe, eat breakfast, and go to work.
Let's go. I'm not going to look in the mirror and go, whoa, look at that guy. It's harder to look in the mirror at that guy, to be honest with you, George.
Sure. You've had some amazing moments throughout your coaching career. If you got to relive only one moment throughout your coaching career, what would you say that one moment would be? There's been quite a few, so.
But George, you get me in trouble with some former players or track runners. You're gonna be going, hey, why don't you say about it? I think you'd have to look back to the first state championship. And the only reason you're saying that, and I would tell that to any coach, that first time you're blazing a new trail, and it is so frightening, but also exciting.
Sure.
You're going, I don't know, am I doing this right? I mean, this is huge. And I mean, just, oh my God, I can remember the night before the state semifinal game, right? We're supposed to be the home team, but we're playing a Toledo team at University of Toledo Stadium. I'm like, how are we the home team? I don't know, but okay, I'm glad we're in it, And I can remember just the night before, just going, oh, wow. One of the things I was thinking about is that all my classmates and all the school is old, George. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're 100. It's ridiculous. 1886.
Yeah, sure.
And I remember just sitting there, getting a tear in my eye, honestly, going, "Oh, if I could only, wow, if I could somehow get this to happen for those people that have lived in this place for how many." I thought that I was just, oh my, this would be so good. Little you know, huh?
Right.
It goes on, but I think that that whole adventure, the first one, and it ended up very dramatic. You know, we played the returning state champ, a great team, Cincinnati Princeton, and we held them in a goal line stand to win it. It was just, you know, the
Right.
place went crazy, and you're going, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They come up with those things in Hollywood. This doesn't really happen. You know?
Right. No, that's pretty cool. Something you know, I was coaching at Kenston High School when we won the first state title in 2018.
Yeah.
I coached
Yeah.
with Jeff Grubich over there, and I've never seen a high school state title game like that before. Like there was like 50 buses as we pulled in the stadium. It just packed, and it's a cool experience for not only coaches, but I can only imagine what players are feeling for that game. I mean, it's an exciting moment for them.
Yeah, yeah, they're you know, they're young, they're kids, and you know, George, the one thing when you mention that, you know, the people talk about pregame speeches, and over the years, you know, the TV cameras want to come into the locker room, you know, and the one thing that is important to say is they always think, well, that's motivation. You know, oh, what a motivation. Kids are already motivated by it. You know, they're 3 minutes away from kickoff. Are you kidding? They're motivated. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's not, oh boy, we didn't have to practice all week. We just had to give a good speech before the game. Are you kidding? That's silly, you know. You know what really, but when you're talking about those kids and being so, wow, the pressure at that moment, right? You know what the
Right.
pregame speech should be? You should look at those kids and say, "You're the best football players in the country right now. You're great football players." Fellas, picture that little kid that you were in the backyard running around. Man,
Right.
you were running around scoring touchdowns. Hey, let that kid play today.
Yeah.
Let him play.
Sure.
Go on. You're really good. Go on. Don't worry about things. Go play. They have to hear that. They have to know that it's, you know, yeah, there's a ton of people out there yelling and screaming. You're going to come out there. There's tons of people. Come on, just be that kid that had fun playing football.
Be the kid that lined the yard in the snow and went out there and
Yeah,
threw in the
we all
back.
did that.
Yeah.
And the kid that loved doing it. Just be that kid. Don't be, oh, the pressure's on. I got to come up.
Yeah.
Come on, forget it. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's do this.
Just go have fun. You've had in your 51-year coaching career, you've been around some amazing coaches, and you've mentioned a few already, but amazing coaches, players, and people. Is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Well, okay, kind of two levels. Okay,
Sure.
if you ask a kid who played football, well, a man, I guess, an older man, and if you ask them, do you remember your English teacher? And they'll stumble over it. Sophomore English teacher. Let me think. Right? They'll stumble over that. Ask them who their football coach was. They'll know right now. Bet. They'll know right now. And for me, John Wirtz was the head coach. Paul Nemec was an assistant coach. They believed in me, I did everything I could for them. I mean, I just, those guys were important. But if I can move it just a little bit, George, your family is really key. And what made a difference? I think my father, first of all, worked in the steel mills, GI Bill, got an engineering degree, went on. He had a great work ethic. I mean, that man, he was great work ethic, And I think that affected me because I have a work ethic. I mean, I do. I have a good work ethic. Let's go. Let's get after it. And also, honestly, George, my father-in-law, I learned how to be a leader from that man. He was mayor of Parma Heights, Ohio, for 40 some years. Paul Cassidy. He was in the war. He was a navigator for a B-17 bomber. Flew 28 missions in warfare. Was the lead navigator for the first daytime bombing of Berlin, which they expected 50% casualty, and just, I mean, that man showed me what leadership was.
Sure.
He really did. People just loved working with him, they just believed in the guy, and so anyway, I just observed those guys. You're a young guy, you're a kid. You just keep your mouth shut and look at some of these people. Watch what they do.
Right.
And just, and I know that sounds old fashioned, but those, I was blessed. I had my father-in-law, my father, I think they helped form me.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a lot like my mom, but those, no way, personality wise.
Right.
But those guys were what they did, and they weren't, connected with football per se. But I think I talk to the kids more about life than I talk about football. Just so. But there's people that influence you, and they don't have to be your football coach. They can just be a good teacher.
Right.
Ask what teacher influenced you. Could be the science teacher, but the guy really cared, and he really, I got it from that person.
Right. And we've talked about, with all the other coaches that I've had on, I think at least one of them, if not all of them, have mentioned how important, like especially now in today's world, how important role models are in a young man's life. That's super important right now, and I truly believe that.
All right. Oh, it is. We're dealing in a world where, the media, and you can go, see movies with all these fictional heroes that are not reality.
Yeah.
They're Hollywood, Where are the real heroes? Okay. Well, they're walking around the street and they're doing the right thing.
Right.
Those are the heroes.
Absolutely. On December 13th, 2021, you officially announced your retirement. You said that the 2022-2023 school year will be your final year. You're headed into your 40th season as Saint Ignatius head football coach. When did you know that this was the right time to step away?
Okay, well, you do trust other people. I hope everybody has people that you go, I trust them. There's a lot of other things, but there's people you trust. And I came into our president's office, and man, totally believe and trust him. I mean, and he asked an important question. He goes, when are you going to retire? And the school needs to know. And I'm like, I never even thought about it. I wasn't thinking about that. Right? You're kind of, I'm one of those guys here. Okay, what month is it? I got to keep going, and I think, and I understood he was just being honest about everybody. The school needs to know, it can't be surprise I'm leaving, so we had several really good conversations, and there's a point where, George, I'm 71 years old. Okay. And I'm healthy, and we talked about that. But there comes a point where, come on, older guys, move out of the way, because there's younger guys coming up.
Right.
Do it. And I can't be selfish that way, I can't be. I'll help, if I'm always a phone call away to help it. But it's time, it's time that other good people get their chance and opportunities and so on like that. I never wanted to be the old guy. Just, oh, well, the old guy, don't, he's over there. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't do that. And my wife retired, a year ago, and we're both healthy. And there's the sacrifices she made, right? I mean,
Right.
come on,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
come on. I'm in the weight room in the summer or whatever, and other people are on vacations.
Right.
I mean, come on. So it made me think, and I think we're doing it a unique way, George,
Yeah.
but I think it's the right way. Ryan Franzinger is our defensive coordinator. Went to Ignatius, played for Ohio State. I mentioned him before, and I said, look, please let's not do something like have a national search for a coach.
Right.
Cut it out. Don't do that.
Right.
Here's the guy that should be doing it. Okay.
Right.
He gets what we're about, and he gets, and so let's do it this way. Right. I'll go one more year. I'll mentor him along, he'll be the assistant head coach or something. And we bring it along. And, and so everybody agreed. Now you have to tell the players that, George, and that's tough.
Right.
That was a really tough moment, and you call the kids in, and say, and I kind of explained, hey, this is what's going on. And I said, and you could see the look in their eye, and that was tough because they're used to me,
Right.
It's, and I said, now I'm going to introduce you to the next head football coach at St. Ignatius. Here he is, Ryan Franzinger. I grabbed him like that and brought him over. And you could see these kids go, oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
That's good.
And let's do it right. That's all. I mean, this is just the way we are.
Right. And I think that's important that you kind of gave the reins to the guy that you wanted. I think that's super important.
I appreciate it.
Keep it in-house. And I really do. I think that's super cool that you said that and kept a guy that's coached with you, been there, knows the area, played for you. I think that's super cool.
Yeah. And he'll do a great job. And it was so nice to see the kids. You just saw their good, just that relief about it. That was important. That was important.
No, that's awesome. You had one heck of a coaching career up until this point. 369 wins, 31 playoff appearances, 15 regional championships, 11 state titles in football, 2 state titles in track, as we mentioned, 3 national championships, and you're Ignatius's all-time winningest coach. If you had to pick one key to your success at Ignatius, what would you say the one key was or is?
Well, I preach this to students too. I think a key to success is your work ethic. Whatever career you want to go into, kids, I always tell them, have a great work ethic. If you have a great work ethic and you want to become a doctor, you really want to become a doctor and you have a great work ethic, go ahead. Go be a doctor then.
Sure.
Don't get shied away from it because it's work ethic. And going to college. I deal with all our kids go to college at Saint Ignatius High School. That's what we are. Okay.
Right.
And I look them in the eye and say, fellas, you're going to find out very early. If you have a very good work ethic, you'll handle college. I don't care. Whatever, you'll handle it. It's a work ethic. That's what it is. And to me, that's what we have to teach young people. Sports is a great way of teaching them that. And to me, it's just a key factor. I mean, you lose a football game. That could be the most important thing that could happen to you sometimes because, hey, I thought we had this figured out, and you know what? We didn't.
Right.
And you sit there and go, I got to find a way to fix that. Now my work ethic's got to kick into gear to find a way to fix what just happened because that's not right. We should have been better, and that's the beauty of sports, and especially football. I mean, you got to find ways, and So I think that's, to me, is the important part of it. And also, I would just tell a coach, because you get coaches asking, "Hey, coach, any kind of tidbits or whatever. What do you think?" And George, I always say this to them: if that young athlete believes and knows that you as a coach are simply trying to help him or her, it could be the littlest technique that you're suggesting, but that'll make it better. If you try this, you'll be able to do it this way. If they sense that your number one goal is not your record, is that this coach here really cares about me and wants to help me.
Right.
They'll go to war for you. They'll do anything
Sure.
I don't care. You said 6 decades. That one spans the gamut of 6 decades right there.
Yeah.
But if they sense that, they're on your side. They'll give you everything.
Absolutely. After you retire after this coming season, what's next for Coach Chuck Kyle?
Okay, well, I am working with the Cleveland Browns in an area of it's youth advisor type of thing, and what we're working on certainly is teaching. We'll have clinics and seminars. Here's for youth coaches, because the game has evolved and its techniques, and we want to make the game safer, right? And okay, there's been a lot more research on that, and so I do those seminars for the coaches for the younger kids, because George, that a lot of those guys played 15, 20 years ago, right?
Right. Yeah.
And their kid is at that age to go, "Oh, I'll come help."
Right. And the game has changed quite a bit. Absolutely.
Come here and we got to talk. We got to make sure you get what's going on. So I've been doing a lot of that, and the Browns have really been wonderful with that. I honestly, George, if you look, they are, and I mean this, other NFL teams look at the Browns going, "Hey, you guys, tell us what you're doing. You guys are doing so much for the youth."
Right.
And so for me, it's really wonderful to work with them, because they're very, we say, "Hey, this group they need a little seminar. We got to work on, helping them." They're like, "How can we help? Let's set this up. They can come and we can do this thing at the stadium and have the coach, things like that. Hey, door prizes. We'll do this and we'll do that." And it's just, hey, there's this league that needs a lot more equipment. We got it. We'll help them with that equipment.
Right.
What other NFL teams doing that?
Right.
Not many.
No, that's awesome.
So it's really fun to do. And I just think that would be a nice thing at this point for me to get, to spend more time on. That would be great. I find that very rewarding. And they're just they're great people to work with. Honestly, all we got to do is win a Super Bowl. Honestly, this team this organization did. I'm not kidding you.
We're close.
People don't even know. May I say, people don't even know half of what the Haslams do for charitably. They don't publicize what they're doing. They do a lot of good things. And you talk to these youth leagues, they'll tell you, man, they have an equipment problem. Bang, it's taken care of. Hey, they're good. They're really good. So I can do that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that sounds enjoyable. You're around the game, work with youth kids, kind of doing the right things, and I think that's awesome. Good for you, Coach. Coach, to wrap things up, I always ask this question to every coach that's been on the show. Who is Coach Kyle for the listeners and viewers who might not know you? Who is Coach Chuck Kyle?
Okay. Well, they don't publicize that I taught Shakespeare and Chaucer for 35 years. That hardly ever gets out there. I just enjoy doing that. I think that because I wanted to be an English teacher and a coach. I didn't want to just be a coach. I probably could have done that, you know. You have a little success and you probably do that, you know. No, I wanted to be an English teacher and a coach, you know. And so I mean, you could talk to our English chairman. I think when I go to English meetings, we don't talk about football at all, you know.
Right.
I just talk about how we get better in English. How can we do better things, more interesting little activities in English? Huh? I think that's probably important, because I believe the combination, right? And that's really I mean, honestly, George, I've had kids, you know, I teach freshmen, sophomores for a number of years now, along with the senior things. But I've had kids not know that I was the football coach in my English class till, like, you know,
Right.
5 weeks into the season, the school year, they go, "Oh, wait a minute, you're the football?" Yeah. I'm not just your English teacher, okay? Which is good. I think that's kind of fun, you know?
Right. Coach, once again, I thank you for all your time, and good luck with your final season. I'll be rooting for you guys. Hopefully in your last season you can bring one home. I think that'd be pretty cool. I wish you a very happy retirement after the school year, and everything with the Browns goes well for you. I also want to thank all of our listeners and viewers. You guys have been great. Listen in next week. I'm going to do a recap episode and have a few special guests on the show to discuss all the moments from season 1. Once again, Coach, I thank you for being here.
Sure.
Well, we'll tune in next week and we'll see everybody later.
Welcome to The Coach's Approach, a podcast where we sit down with high school coaches and get the cold, hard facts about the high school coaching world. This is The Coach's Approach, where we talk X's and O's. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is The Coach's Approach, where we talk X's and O's. Win the day or dominate the day. The choice is yours.